Okay, so we're gonna just rock right in. I basically hit stop and start on the next video. We're moving to March, April, all right? And then we do the US resupply. So the first step with US resupply, and I know I'm looking at this sideways, I apologize, but I call your attention to here, advance and delay forces. Remember, the delay is still 2 in each production line. We're close to getting this built, which will help us, but right now it's still 2. So that means 2 from here are delayed, 2 from here are delayed, but 1 gets to advance. And I'm gonna advance the Australian one. And that one is now produced. And then here I get to advance 2 of them. And I'm actually going to just advance them here. So that way next turn I'm gonna get 4 planes. I know it's a possibility, like I could have just advanced the ones, but my thoughts is I'm going to be spending a lot of my supply points on finishing this upgrade down here. I want to also spend supply points to get some ships built, and I also want to save some supply points to try this this new scouting strategy. Let's give it a go. So if I want to do all that, I am not going to have enough supply points to buy more planes, so I'd rather just move my planes down to the first step, and then we can produce more next turn. Okay, whatever you produce, this one is an Australian troop, so it's going to start in Australia, or otherwise it's in Western United States. So he goes here. And what I like about this is I'm going to be able to move him to an island, that I control, or even one that I don't control, and then that frees up my battalions to maybe go somewhere else. So that's one nice thing about that. And so we look at our chart and gain supply points. So for March, April, we get 20 supply points. So 10, 15, and 20. All right, first thing I want to do is finish my industry. I have 8 points here. I need 15, so that means I'm spending 7. So these are going to go away. I'm going to take this 10 and replace it with a 3. And in doing so, we now produced, we're coming up to speed. So now next turn, there's only going to be 1 delay in production in each turn. So that's leaps and bounds better than 2 delays. Now, I could, if I wanted, spend 11 more to go towards the next one, which would have been everything we have. I'm not sure I want to do that. So what I think I want to do is get some of those carriers built, because those carriers take a long time to finish. And so let's do that. I'm going to build actually 2 carriers. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, my table edge is right here, and I'm constantly dangling off the edge here when I'm doing these. So the Hornet costs 5, so I'm going to build a Hornet, and then the Wasp, also 5. And they go way up here. And so next turn, we're going to have to delay 1, but then I can bring them both down, because it's going to take 4 turns before we even get to see it. So I'd like to get that production started, and that's going to cost me 10. And then I'm going to leave 3 for us to scout and maybe use some battle points. It all depends. Okay? So there's so much to produce is what I'm trying to get at. And we got to get our production manufacturing going, because there's a long game ahead of us. All right, so we're done with that resupply. So then we do our scouting phase. So here's where we get to pick what do we want to scout. And you don't get to see the outcome of the scouting until after. So our risks are that they could refit in Japan. So I want to scout Carrier Fleet 2. Okay. I want to scout Carrier Fleet 5. And I want to scout Surface Fleet 3. I want to nail one of these this turn. So which one are we going to get to nail? And I get to choose the order that we do these. I really desperately want to get Carrier Fleet 5. That's the one I want the most. So I'm going to roll that one first. And remember, the Japanese resupply is at 0, so there's a real good chance we're going to get one of these 3. In fact, that's the only chances. So we just don't want the refit option. If we can get one of the other 2, we got them. and we got the refit option. So Carrier Fleet 5 is going back to Japan, and you would flip this over to show that it's in transit. I don't bother. Just call it complete. It's not going to get to move. It's already done its move. So Carrier Fleet 5 escaped persecution. It escaped justice. Everybody's throwing around the justice term lately. It escaped justice. And justice, when it's defined by only you, is not justice anymore. I would argue that that is the very type of forces that we're fighting in this war. Okay, so let's try Carrier Fleet 2. That's our next juicy target. Now, when they did the refit, by the way, 2 points, it went up. So let's try Carrier Fleet 2. 7. Again, it's a refit, so they escape us. So this is not paying off, folks. So that fleet also escapes our clutches, and all 3 of our supply points are gone. But it moves up 2, and now they get a +2 to their die roll, which, I don't know, that might help us. Who knows? And the last one is the surface fleet, which is probably the least interesting of the 3. 5 + 2 is 7. All 3 of them did a refit. So, sad days for us. Blame the Canadians for suggesting such horrible ideas. And blame me for rolling so horribly. If just one of them would have stayed, we would have been able to get... the strategy, I think, is viable. But here you can see an example of it not paying off very well. And I just realized something. I wanted to repair, because we have damages. So this guy, for example, would cost 1 to repair. And then this one over here, the submarine, would also cost 1 to repair. Remember, it's half. So I need to figure out how to get 2 points back. And I think what it means is I'm not building that other carrier. So the Wasp will have to wait. So now I have 3 points to build something. So I can build like a battleship, for example. So, yeah. Repairing your stuff is top priority. I could have waited to repair that sub later, but that's okay. All right. Moving on, we now do the U.S. movement step. So we're going to move our ships and planes and all that nonsense, and we have no clue where they're going to go. So that hurts. I'm not worried about Borneo at the moment, but I do believe, although Borneo could try to invade Australia, I don't think they are invading Australia. They do have a south action where it moves towards Australia. Let me look at that one. If the destination, they can't perform this order if they're already adjacent to Australia. It becomes an east order if they're already next to Australia. So Australia is not going to be attacked. Okay, so what do we want to do? Obviously, we want to make sure we kick them off of Midway. We want to kick them off New Caledonia, and then just defend our targets, if you will. I think for sure I'm sending... Sorry for the arm. I have 2 carriers. The Saratoga is going to, in the Yorktown. The Yorktown is for sure going to go to Midway. And then the Saratoga is going to go help out with New Caledonia to kick them off of there. And then it's just a matter of supporting them with our units. So we have, for example, 2 subs. I'm going to send 1 destroyer each way. I'm going to send 1 sub with each one. Now, we could use the subs to reduce their reinforcements, but frankly, if you study that reinforcement chart, reducing their numbers is not that big of a deal, at least in my opinion. And then the cruisers we'll send 2 and 2. So we're going to just completely divide it up, and everything else is just going to have to fend for itself in the meantime. Now the Australian troop here, we get to send it somewhere. I don't want to send it to Borneo because that's a little bit of a suicide run. But like, for example, I can defend New Caledonia with it, which would then make the US force eligible to go somewhere else. I can go to Solomon Islands, etc. I think what I want to do is I want to defend New Guinea with it. So I'm going to send him to New Guinea with just a transport. And then this battalion that's on New Guinea, I'm going to put him on a transport and send him somewhere else. Where do I want to send him? That's a good question. I think I want to send him to Samoa so I can free up that plane, or I can send him to Alaska to free up the plane up there. That's actually what I'm going to do. I'm sending him to Alaska, and I'm going to bank on the fact that no one is going to attack Alaska this turn. And then this plane is free to go somewhere. And I lost the 2 planes on Midway Island, so he's going to be one of the 2 planes on Midway Island. I need another battalion to come to Hawaii so I can free up this plane, but for now, that's where he is. Can I send planes from anywhere else? Maybe. Yeah. So MAG-21 is leaving New Guinea, and he's going to go to Midway as well, because Midway needs to have defense. Now, one of the options I see is I don't need to send ships to Midway. I think I could win Midway without sending ships there. The reason I'm sending ships is because Japan's probably going to mount another attack. Although Midway is not US held right now, so that means their next attack will be the Hawaiian Islands. I didn't even consider that. Hold on. Oh, crap. They're going to go straight for Hawaii because Midway Island is not US held. They're not going to go to Midway. Oh, that's an interesting dilemma. Yeah, it is. I'm going to have to keep these guys in Hawaii. So they're going to stay in Hawaii, which may make them join this stack next turn. Now, one quirky rule is, let's say that there is a battle at Hawaii. Because they're in Hawaii, they stay eligible. And even if they participate in a battle, that's a weird one. And I don't know if the rules, they just don't cover that scenario. So you just, that means that's what it is. If they stayed in Hawaii, then you must move all ships not in the Hawaiian Islands to the port boxes. Yeah, that's it in a nutshell. One thing I want to update though is I said that when you trace supply, you can trace it from Australia. That's not true. Everything has to trace to actually West Coast. So the West Coast of the United States has to be traceable to the location. Australia does not count for supply. So my apologies, I thought it did. Okay, yeah, not a very exciting turn, but that's sort of what happens when you lose Midway like we did. And then, yeah, you have to worry about them taking Hawaii now. So, all right, well, now that we're done, let's put their markers out. So boom, boom, boom. I guess the good news is 3 of their ships we know are going to be refitting. So we know 2 of their carrier fleets aren't even going to be bothering us. So that's what I got. The lowest number of troops are these 2, so let's roll for them. I rolled an 8, plus a 2 is 10. They're withdrawing to go 1 closer to Japan. Even is the infantry, odd is the plane. Even. So the infantry is going to move 1 closer to Japan. excuse me, and this is done, and technically that one's done. So that's how that would work. Okay, next lowest number of troops would be the Okinawa? No, what is that? Yeah, Okinawa. So let's do that one. A 1, well hold on, this would have added 1 to here, so we're up to 5. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So they're holding. 1 infantry and 3 aircraft are holding. So that means everybody here is holding. So 1 marker for both of those. And it moves up by 4. So now we're adding plus 5. We have Borneo here. 4 plus 5 is 9. They're withdrawing. So this is going to go up by 1. And they move 1 closer to Japan. And it's only going to be 1 infantry. So this is the part where you have to be careful, because 1 infantry is that. Oh, hold on. When you move a carrier fleet, or any fleet, it takes transports with them. So this one, if you recall, was Surface Fleet 1 or Surface Fleet 3, okay? Surface Fleet 3 has 1 transport on it. So this guy would actually be on the Surface Fleet. All right, so that means this one would have moved. Okay, and then down here, when the fleet left, it would have taken the battalions with it. But it would never abandon the island. So that was a carrier fleet, so one of these battalions would actually go with it. And this was, I think, Carrier Fleet 3. It was definitely not Carrier Fleet 5. Carrier Fleet 2. So Carrier Fleet 2 has 2 transports. So one of them would be from the island, and the other one we would take from the pool. And then same with Carrier Fleet 5, they would take 1. Like so. Because they left the area. Now, that is a arguable point, is would they really take the battalion from a objective held place? But the answer I have is yes, because they don't really specify otherwise. Per the expansion, so this is at the start of the campaign. If placing infantry on the transport would leave the area without infantry or take infantry counters from Japan. If there's no infantry counters in Japan, place battalions on the transports from the... Okay, so one of the things I forgot to do is, for example, Surface Fleet 3, or no, Carrier Fleet 2, I took a battalion from here. It would actually take it from here, like that. Okay, that's one of the things. Okay, so the next one is for orders. When a fleet moves from one area to a different, check that all of its transports have infantry. If any transport does not, take infantry counters from Japan. So when it says check that all of its transports have infantry, this is the part that confuses me, because you could argue it's one of two things. We landed infantry onto, New Caledonia and took the objective, or we didn't take the objective, but we landed them there. So the transports don't have infantry, but they could have infantry if we take it from the island. So what does it mean that the transports have or don't have infantry? If any transport does not have infantry, you take them from Japan, and then otherwise you take battalions. I'm going to actually make an executive decision on this and leave the battalion on the island. I flip-flop back and forth on this, and I apologize, but it's a little ambiguous. But I'm going to say that I'm checking to see if they have infantry. There's none, because we landed the infantry, right? So since we landed the infantry, we're going to just take the new infantry from Japan and put it onto the fleet. And that's what we're going to do. So if anybody disagrees, let me know. But that's all the guidance they give us in the wording. So I'm going to just interpret it to be that way, because it didn't say take it from the island that they're at. It said take it from Japan. So I'm going to take it literally and go from there. All right, movement. We just did a few. Oh, we're on Borneo. So we still have to roll again because there's still more troops at Borneo. And I rolled a 9, which we add 5, that's 14. So battle, they're gonna join a battle. And right now there are 2 battles going on. So I'm gonna go even, odd. It's even. So this one single battalion unit is coming with a transport to reinforce New Caledonia. That's just how it is. And then the last one there is going to close. All right, what do we got next? Next is East Asia. Let's roll for them. And this, by the way, added 0. I roll 6 plus 5 is 11. So we're gonna support. They're gonna go back towards Japan, except East Asia and Japan. So if that happens, it actually becomes a hold. And then this moves up by 4. So they're up to 14. Now they're getting a plus 10. But the carrier fleet and the infantry that's in East Asia are done. So now all we have left is Japan, which has quite a few to do. So let's roll. There's an 8 plus 10 is 18. We come down here, we're doing a sortie. So they're going for a US held objective, other than Hawaiian Islands and Alaska. And if it cannot, it'll do Alaska. All right, so a US held objective is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 2, 4, 6, 8. I rolled a 5, so 2, 4 here. They're going for the Gilbert Islands. That sort of stinks. So carrier fleet 3, along with 2 infantry and 2 land-based aircraft if they can come, but they can't. So it says that 2 of them will move to Japan. So what you do is you put them on hold. So 2 land-based infantry are coming along. So they're going to go on the transport, and carrier fleet 3, I'm sure, has its own infantry as well. We're going to get slaughtered in the Gilbert Islands. Interesting. Okay, but we now subtract -4. So this goes back, and now we roll for the next one. A 5 plus 5 is 10. So we're going to withdraw 1 closer to Japan, which it can't do. So it's going to be a hold for 1 infantry, 3 land-based aircraft, and a fleet. So this fleet is going to hold the infantry if they had any, and then 3 aircraft are also holding. And so now we have 3 more of these and 2 more aircraft. And the hold causes this to go back up to a plus 10. 1 plus 10 is 11. Support, which actually becomes a hold again. So the battleship fleet is holding. All the aircraft is done. All we have are 2 fleets to roll for. So let's roll for the next one. A 9, that's a 19. Boom. They're going for the Hawaiian Islands. Surface Fleet 1, attacking the Hawaiian Islands. And it is taking 3 infantry with it. So since there's no infantry in Japan, you actually grab 1, 2, 3 battalions and put them on a transport. So the Surface Fleet plus transport is attacking the Hawaiian Islands like we expected. And then, yes, it drops 8 points now. So 4, 8, it's dropping all the way down. And for the last one, I rolled a 3 plus 2 is a 5. It's a refit. It actually turns into a hold. So this goes back up to 11. And we're done. Everybody's moved now for Japan. So if we're doing the battles, I'm going to move this here and move this one over to here. But everywhere else, we can take these off. Okay, so we got Gilbert Islands, which is going to be a slaughter fest. We have New Caledonia, which I think is going to be a slaughter in our favor. Midway is going to be a little gritty because we don't have much there, but I still think very confidently we're going to win that. And then the Hawaiian Islands is going to be the true test of mettle. So which one do we do first? I know you guys want to do the Hawaiian Islands first. I know you do. We're not going to do Hawaiian Islands first. Let's do Gilbert, because I already have it on my board. See, I'm being efficient, folks. Efficient. Make you wait. All right, so let's do that one. Okay, so we have our lonely battalion sitting on the island, and they have a transport with 2 super powerful troops and an entire carrier fleet with 2 more troops on the fleet, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships. Jesus. So they have a carrier, another carrier, another carrier, another carrier, 4 carriers, and a battleship, which of course is going to sit with the carriers. Per the rules, it doesn't matter if there's no threat to their carriers. If the U.S. has never held the island this game, none of that applies anymore. We held the island, so that's not the issue. So for this first turn, it's really just a matter of them attacking us with their planes. And they have a light carrier and 2 full-blown carriers. So the light carrier is going to have one of these. And the full-blown carrier is going to have those 2 together, right? And then the 0, I'm not even going to bother getting out because it has no bomb value. All right, so this is a matter of just surviving. We just want to survive. So I'm going to roll for the battle turns. I rolled a 5, which is just 2. So for my battle plan, I'm going to reduce it to 1. That's my 3 battle plan points. So I reduce it to 1. And I didn't even get out all the planes because we're just going to, with the light carrier, there's 1 of these. And then with the 2 full carriers, there's going to be 3 of these and 2 of those. I mean, it's really that simple. There's no anti-air. There's no surface combat. And even though we have infantry on the island, we have nothing to attack this first turn. So we just have to survive this first round. And the first round is going to consist of 3 of these with a roll of a 4 and 2 of these with a roll of 2. So let's roll the 2 2s first. Oh no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They get to draw 2 battle plans. Let's do that first. 1, 2. Their ships get extra guns, and they go after our carrier group. So in both cases, we're good. Just threw those back in the box. Okay, so like I said, 2 2s. These are their torpedo bombers. And they rolled a 1. I mean, we're just getting awful luck. So our battalion's already hit, and now it's 3 4s. So if any of these hit, they take the island. And right there's a 1 and a 3. So bad luck for us. The island is taken. And we just lost another battalion, which, by the way, it cost me 1 supply point to build a battalion. And then you got the dang production issues where we have to hold stuff back. So a little frustrating there. And it's part of the reason why spending points on scouting hurts. And there's a lot of, you're behind the 8 ball in the beginning. So yeah, Japan takes it with all these troops. So they're on the Gilbert Islands. And the objective flips back to them. Not doing too hot. The aircraft carrier stuff we're going to put back. And the transport we put back. And now all of the ships go back onto the fleet card. So this particular fleet, Carrier Fleet 3, is a juicy, juicy target. I really would like to pin that sucker down and nail him if I can. So let's see if we can pull that off. Although sometimes be careful what you ask for, because 3 carriers or 4 carriers in a battleship is not something to sneeze at. All right, so then let's do our Slaughterfest. This one is New Caledonia. I'll grab that one. New Caledonia's rules: if the Japanese start with forces ashore, add 1 battalion to the foxholes. And they do. So They have 2 already there, and they get 1 more that they get to add. And then they get to advance the resupply counter by 1, so they go to a 12. All right, and then they have 1 transport trying to land. But here's the part where it's a slaughter fest for us. We have 1 in the foxhole, but they have no ships. So we have all these surface ships here, and a submarine, and a carrier, for Pete's sakes. And we're all going after basically the land and transports. So the surface ships, fortunately, I don't have to pick my target, right? I just roll and do damage to either the island or the transport. The carrier, though, does get to pick which one we're going to go after, and the carrier is going to send all of its bombers against the transport. So, so if we go through, well, first of all, let's figure out how many turns. I rolled a 2, which is awful. So we only have 1 battle turn to win. I'm going to spend my 3 battle points to increase it to 2. So rather than giving myself bonuses to hits and all that stuff, I'm giving myself an extra round. Okay, and then as far as they go, they have 4 troops, so they only get 1 battle plan. And their battle plan is their infantry gets a +3, +2 on infantry rolls. That extra +2 is like a superscript, which means they can do 2 hits. That is like awful, because all they have is infantry in this battle. And then just to give you a reminder of our planes, we have 2 of these. We have a fighter, which does have a bomb value. And then we have 1 of these. And so I'm going after the transport with everything. So the bomb run happens first. There is no anti-air for the transport. So I'm going to get to roll 2 4s, a 3, and a 1. I guess since this guy only has a 1, I'm going to have him go after the land. How about that? So his will be a 2. So let's roll for the 2 first. And I did. I got a 2, amazingly enough. So one of the battalions takes a hit. All right. So then now I'm going to roll for the 2 4s. There's a 1 and a 2. That's actually a really good roll for us. And that's all I needed. Don't need to roll anymore. The transport's destroyed, and so is the battalion with it. Transports don't go out of the game, by the way. They have an infinite number of those. So we're done there. Our submarine now all of a sudden became useless, so we're going to skip that attack. And then we move to the naval guns. So we have a 3, 3, and a 2 that's bombarding the land. So the 2 will be this one. So here we go. I got a 1 and a 1. That's really good. So we just did 2 more hits. So 1 and then 2. And we keep moving, and now we're to the infantry attack. So this is where it's really dicey. They get a +3, +2. So this guy who has a 0 now has a 3, 2, and this one has a 4, 2. So this will be the 3, 2, this will be the 4, 2. And I rolled a 3. So they do hit our battalion unit. Oh, sorry, I'm knocking over stacks of stuff here. So our battalion does take damage, and he goes to a 0, but he still gets to get his attack in, which was a miss. So now we move to the next battle round, and we have to draw their plan again. I drew submarine warfare, so it's worthless for them. And so same deal. I'm going to roll a 1 for the fighter. I'm sorry, a 2 for the fighter. Still a miss. We're now doing land targets. So the torpedo bomber is also a 2. Miss. And then we have 2 dive bombers that are going to roll 3s. There's a 1 and a 2. That's 2 hits. So we just did a hit and another hit. That was really lucky. Then we have a 3, 3, 2 for the surface ships. The 2 will be the blue one. All misses. And then we do the infantry attack where both of us are at 0. So we did not win. The island. The island is being held with a damaged Japanese battalion and a damaged US battalion, like so. So New Caledonia is still a pesky critter. And I apologize, I know I'm speeding up some of the stuff here. I will slow down for the bigger battles. So these ships, of course, are gonna end up going back for refitting. But the good news is, I guess, you know, we did take a damage, but we didn't lose it, and I can spend 1 point to repair it, which I will do next turn. And yeah, we still have an objective we haven't taken. So the Australian infantry, for example, did land, so we can at least take care of that. And yes, now let's do Midway. Yes, I'm gonna make the good one for last. You know I am. So Midway Island just basically says the invaders aren't allowed to use planes, which is fine. They have a battalion that is damaged, but on shore. And we have a infantry unit in the foxhole, and we have 2 airfields. Battle turns. I rolled a 5, that's 2 battle turns. I'm going to choose the artillery, which will automatically do a hit for my infantry. And so they get a battle plan, so here's their battle plan. It's a screening ship, so that's useless. And we don't even have to do any rolls. This guy attacks with a 0, so he can't hit us. And since I have the artillery, I have an infantry on shore. The artillery is an automatic hit, so this guy's dead. Really, the only thing we're checking to see is if they drew a battle plan that would have allowed their infantry to hit us. So we win, lickety-split. And Midway does flip back to the good guys, and that's good because that means they won't be attacking Hawaii next turn like they are this turn. So Hawaii is a tricky one. The rules are not going to help us. You would think they would, but they don't. Hawaii is very bad. The Alaska one is interesting too. That one actually helps us, the Alaska one, but the Hawaii one, not so much. Here we go. So Hawaii, and my camera always moves this thing to the right. So let me see if I can get it underneath my, there we go. Let's lift up the game board. Slide this under. See if that helps. I don't think it will, but we'll see. Okay, the reason why the Hawaii one sucks is they're adding 3 battalions. So here's their transport with 3 battalions, and they're adding 3 more. So this is one of those deals where you want to sink that freaking transport as best as you can. The problem is we're up against a surface fleet, not a carrier fleet, so they're going to protect that transport with their life. So then we're going to have to do a lot of land hits. All I have is 1 single U.S. plane defending this with a single airfield point, and that's not good for us. We do have the Portland, the Pensacola, the Desron, a submarine group, and the Yorktown, which will be in the ocean. I know it's off camera there. And the Yorktown will have a torpedo bomber, 2 dive bombers, a Wildcat, and once I find the other dive bomber. So this is what we have going into this battle. And they are Surface Fleet 1. Surface Fleet 1, by the way, has... Oh no, I was grabbing from the battleship fleet. Surface Fleet 1 has 3 more battalions being added to the transport. So yes, that is a mega stack there. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ships are being added. I don't like our odds. So the submarine is actually going after our carrier. So I need to rethink this. I may want to bring the destroyer back up to protect my carrier. And then they're going to have a destroyer group, 2 of them, and a cruiser and a cruiser. So my submarine for sure is staying because he's going after their stuff. I think my destroyer is going to have to come back and help me with the... Now, he has a 3. The carrier does have its own depth charges, so I could leave... You know what? I'm leaving the destroyer up. I need all the help I can get up there. So I'm really at risk with their submarine of losing my carrier. That would be awful. Absolutely awful. Okay, so how many turns? 1. So 1 single battle turn. Well, the interesting part about this is that they're going to land on Hawaii. So how many battle plans do they get to draw? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. They have 14 troops. They're going to get to draw 3 battle plans. And we have 3 battle points. So I could actually reduce the battle turn to 0 and end the battle. And by doing so, all their battalions would be left on Hawaii. And then I could avoid anything else. So what that would do is that would avoid my carrier from getting hit. Yeah, I don't like that option. So let's try a different option. One of them, you're going to see me pull out the ones you've seen before, the ranging shots. So my surface attack does an extra hit. So that's going to sink a ship outright if I can hit with a surface attack. The sonar is reroll a depth charge. I like that one. I don't have infantry ashore, so I can't do artillery. I can't roll extra anti-air. I may not be able to spend my 3rd one. Dogfight does 1 extra hit. That doesn't do me any good. Yeah, that's all I can do. So, I don't know. It may not be wise of me to continue this battle, but I'm going to try. What I'm worried about is losing the Yorktown. The submarine, if he gets the magical roll of a 3 or less, I'm going to lose the Yorktown, or I'm going to at least take damage with it. And that's not going to be fun. But if I reduce it to 0, all those battalions are going to land on Hawaii untouched. The good news is next turn, the Surface Fleet 1 will probably retreat. And so these battalions that landed on Hawaii are going to get stranded, and the Surface Fleet won't defend it. And, you know, basically they're going to get slaughtered. But I think we should at least fight this out. So let's draw the 3 battle plans. I'm not peeking. I'm just trying to grab from different parts of the cup. First one is a carrier attack. That would be awesome for them if they had planes. If an infantry is ashore, 1 successful attack, and luckily for us, that's not happening. And then their planes would have had a big bonus. So these are actually 3 nasty ones in the right conditions, but that's not the case here. All right, so I'm going all in. Everybody, all my planes, everything is attacking their surface fleet and their transport. I cannot attack the submarine other than through depth charges. So there's nothing I can do about that. The only thing I could have done was move the destroyer back because he has a 3 instead of a 2 for a depth charge roll. So it gives me that little bit of extra % chance of hitting. But I'm not going to worry about that either. I'm just going for it. Now, like I said, I couldn't spend my 3rd battle plan point because I don't... they don't have any planes. If they had any planes, I could have added extra anti-air or all kinds of stuff. So let's go through the order. First thing is dogfight, we skip. Next thing is anti-air, which we do. All 4 of their ships are going to get to shoot anti-air because we're attacking them with 4 planes. So you can see there it's 2-2-2-2. So 4 2s for them. So let's roll. 7, 5, 6, and a 6. Okay, so all 4 of them missed. That was lucky on our part. Then we do our bombing runs. So we're going after C targets here. So a 1, 2 4s, and a 3. So let's do the, this one will be the 3, and these are the 2 4s. So I hit with this one, and those 2 are misses. And then let's roll for the 1. Oh, I rolled a nice 2, but that doesn't help me. So I did hit once. So remember, we're stuck with the brackets. So if you look at their ships here, sorry, they have 2 in all 4 of their ships, and the transport is a 4. So I can't hit the juicy transport because they're protecting the transport. But I can pick any of these to hit. So I have 2 destroyers, and then I have 2 cruisers, and I'm going to go ahead and hit one of their cruisers, like so. So we're done with the bomb runs. Now we go to torpedoes. So this is where if they roll a 3 or less, our day is ruined. They rolled a 6. So that part's good. Now we're going to do our depth charges, which is a 2 or less. I rolled a 2. Now that is awesome. So we damaged their submarine. And now that's reduced. And now we do naval guns. Let's do theirs first. You can see they have a 4, 3, 3, and a 2. So this one will be the 4, and these 2 will be the 3, 3. I rolled a 9, a 9, and a 9. This got flipped by my hand. And then this is the 2. I rolled another 9. Oh, holy cow, what's the odds of that? All right, so they all missed. And now we have a 4, a 4, a 2. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to roll for my torpedo. So let's roll for my torpedo. That's a 2. I missed. And then their depth charge would be, their best one is a 1. They missed. Okay, so now we're doing a 4, 4, 2. The blue one will be the 2, okay? So I got a 1 with the blue and a 3. So that's 2 hits, and then I'm going to turn this in to get an extra hit for 3, okay? So I just did 3 hits to them, which is awesome. It's not going to do anything to their transport, but we just sank one of their cruisers, which is now out of the game. Yeah, I'll just put it off the table here for a second, and then I sink another one. So since they're all equal, I'm going to sink the other cruiser as well. So 2 of their cruisers are gone with the 3 hits. I just realized I get to re-roll a depth charge or a torpedo roll. So I would re-roll the torpedo roll from my sub, which still missed. So that didn't do anything. Okay, so it was only 1 battle round. And so what's going to happen then is all their infantry is going to land on Hawaii, this big stack of doom. And Hawaii is going to flip to them. Our plane, oh, we had a plane. That little fighter plane had a 1, 3. So I'm going to roll for a 1. I rolled a 2, which was an awesome roll, but not good enough. And so, yeah, our plane stays alive as well on the island. But he's going to need some support next turn. The good news is our ships did not take any damage, which I was expecting that they would, considering how many they had. And then we just sank 2 of their ships. So the Surface Fleet 1 card is going to be a destroyer group, 4 and 5. And then the submarine group is going to go here, but damaged, and he's only going to be there temporarily. By the end of the round, he's going to be back in the reinforcement pool. And then our Yorktown lived to see another day. But Hawaii, we're now going to have to give them some support. So that's going to be an issue for the next turn. So that wraps up all of our battles. So now Japanese reinforcement. I rolled a 4 plus 11, or 12 is 16. And you come up here to 16, 3 ships come out. 1, 2, 3. And then 2 infantry come out. And 2 planes. So the plane stack of doom for Japan is even larger. And let's figure out what the, that 16 would have been reduced by 1 because of this to 15, right? And then reduced by 1 because of the sub to 14. So that did reduce the number of ships that came. So 14 puts us down to the next level down. So the number of ships that would have come out is 2 instead of 3. So I'm going to take the bottom ship and put it back. Okay. So then the Japanese repair step happens, and what you do is you take this submarine and you repair it, and it goes to the bottom of the ship stack. It'll come back soon. This guy can't repair because he's enmeshed in battle, and that should be it for Japan. So now we have a light cruiser and a battleship. The Yamato just came out. So the light cruiser is going to go where there's the least amount of ships. So right now we have 4 and 4 in carrier fleet 1 and 2. So I'm going to roll. I rolled an odd. I didn't even declare which one was which, but the odd was going to be carrier fleet 2. So he's now there. Then the battleship. It's going to go anywhere that a battleship would be already. So, for example, Carrier Fleet 5 has a battleship, but it has 5 ships, right? Carrier Fleet 4, same deal. Carrier Fleet 3, same deal. But then if you go to Surface Fleet 1, that one is just cruisers. Surface Fleet 2 is just cruisers. And then you have Battleship Fleet 1, has only 4 ships. So it's less ships than the carrier, so the Yamato is going to join the battleship fleet. And that is very thematic and appropriate, if you ask me. So if I would have sank a battleship, he would have filled in one of those places. So that wraps up, U.S. returned to port. So obviously we come back. These guys are going to go up to Hawaii. And like I said, everybody who participated in that Hawaii battle, just because they fought in a battle, they actually stay. So I get to add all these ships on top of the ships that are already there. And then these ones are going to go in for refit. So we have a really small stack now here. But the good news is that I can use these to continue to try to pound the Hawaii situation. So that's where we're at with that. Hawaii, by the way, has no limit to the airfields like the other places do. There is no airfield indicator on Hawaii. So I think you can go unlimited there and go all in, basically. Supply check. Now that Hawaii is no longer in supply, we have to go from the West Coast up to Alaska to Midway, and then we stop. So we cannot get supplies to all of our places. So for example, this one takes a damage. We lose this battalion. Everything takes damage. So with them doing what they did, I think the Australians supply their own troops, but all the American stuff, everything takes damage. That's the problem with letting them land on Hawaii, like what just happened. So we got hit pretty hard. What's funny is compared to the last playthrough I did, and I know I did a few rules wrong, but Japan is playing a lot better and more difficult in this one. And I think it's just because the dice roll was working out. Yeah, I'm in a little bit of trouble here. I don't think I'm in an unmanageable situation, but I'm going to have to spend a lot of supply points just to get these guys repaired. And that's taking away from my ability to get new stuff to the field. So I'm a little frustrated about that, but I'll deal with that in the next video. So thanks for watching. Stay awesome and stay healthy and safe.